Hello, everybody. Welcome to the California DECA Prospective Candidate Information Session. My name is Stephen Perkins. I'm the state officer coach. So all of your state officers have been working with me this past year to deliver out their program of leadership. I want to start off with some introductions. So if we could start with David, let's introduce the state team first. We'll start with David, and then we'll go around, and everybody who's joining our call as a prospective candidate can introduce themselves as well.
Okay, so I'll start off. My name is David Shu. I go to Foothill High School. It's in Northern California. It's in Pleasanton near Dublin and San Ramon. And I guess I'll introduce all of the state officers. So for district vice presidents, we have Christopher Cusimonagoro, and yes, that's a very long last name. But he is the Northern California vice president, and he goes to Castro Valley High School. Cindy Guo is the vice president of Silicon Valley, and she goes to Gunn High School. And then finally, Dragon Chan, yes, his name is Dragon, goes to Rancho Bernardo High School in San Diego. And then finally, for the appointed positions, we have Ashton Lamb from Amador Valley High School. He is the vice president of public relations. So all of the social media you see, Ashton and Jasmine take care of it. And then the vice president of communications is Jasmine Tonsili from Irvington High School in Fremont.
Awesome. Let's begin. I see JAS is the name tag on the first one I see. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jess. I'm from Martin Luther King High School.
Awesome. Alyssa or Eliza?
Hi, I'm Elisa Zane, and I'm from Valley Christian High School in San Jose.
Awesome. My apologies in advance for any names that I mess up. Vera?
I'm Ananya Viragavan, and I go to Washington High School.
Awesome. Anish?
I'm Anish Kanda. I'm from Washington High School.
Mihir?
Hi, I'm Mihir Shah. I'm from American High School.
Emily?
Hi, my name is Emily Bang, and I'm from MSJ DECA, Mission San Jose.
Cool. I think I see another Mihir.
Yeah, right here. My name is Mihir Welling, and I'm from Foothill High School.
Awesome. The next one, not Abhijit. I don't want to.
Oh, I'm Abhijit. I'm from Doherty Valley High School.
Awesome. Nice to meet you. Pranav?
Hi, my name is Pranav, and I'm from Lynbrook High School.
Cool. Juan?
Yeah, I'm Juan Bin. I'm from Doherty Valley High School.
Thank you. Kevin?
Hi, I'm Kevin. I'm from Irvington High School.
And we have a 510584 phone number.
Yeah, hi, that's me. My name is Ritvik Sunku, and I also go to Foothill.
Awesome. And a 408-300 phone number.
That's me. I'm Cindy, and I go to Lynbrook.
Good deal. Did I miss anybody? Anybody else on the call? I think I got everybody. Cool. I just wanted to do a quick piece here in the beginning, and then I'll turn over to the fun part where your state officers will talk about their experience running and why you should do the same. I just want to remind you to take a look at the candidate guide. I know it's kind of a lengthy guide. It has a lot of great information in it. Certainly everything you'll need to know about running for office. Some important dates coming up. Our next call will be December. Let me get to the page again. December 13th will be the next briefing call, and that will be talking about actually campaigning at your district conference or campaigning at state. So that's the logistics of campaigning. But other than that, next Friday, December 1st, the knowledge exam closes. And so you have to take the knowledge exam and get a 90 or higher on that. If you haven't been enrolled in that knowledge exam yet, it's all online, but your advisor has to proctor that. Be sure to look in the candidate guide. Have your advisor submit that proctor form that's linked in there, and have that done before next Friday. And so that's all I have from the logistics side. Does anybody have any questions about that? Good deal. I'll turn it over to your state officers.
Cool. Dragon, can you queue up the presentation, or should I just share my screen to the?
I can do that. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Dragon is our tech guy, as you can tell by his headset. But the purpose of this meeting is not necessarily like this is the optional meeting, because the goal of this is just to give you guys a better sense of what campaigning for state office is like, and give you guys more details on what being a state officer actually is like. So all of this is just to kind of inspire you and motivate you. It's not like you don't have to like take notes or anything. Like it's not super serious. Like we're just trying to give you a better understanding of what it's like. So Dragon, if you could hit the next slide. We're going to start off by introducing ourselves and kind of talking about our personal experiences with state office. So each of us will be talking about our position and our responsibilities, why we ran, and how being in state office has changed us.
I'm gonna unmute it so that way. Sorry, stop the display so that way we can see your guys' faces doing this.
Oh. Okay.
David, you want to go first?
Okay, so I'm starting. I already introduced myself. My name is David. I'm the state president. And as for my responsibilities, my biggest responsibility is kind of being, it's kind of being the head of the state officer team. And what that means is that I do a lot of coordinating between the state officer team and the staff, as well as trying to be the contact point for all of the presidents within the state. And my responsibilities kind of encompass the entire state. So chapter visits, making sure to report to the board of directors, and then a lot of also speaking parts as well. So the reason that I ran for state office was because for me, DECA was always very competition heavy, and in my first 2 years of DECA, I really neglected the networking, the public speaking, that side of DECA, and I felt really bad about it because like competition didn't really make me that happy anymore, because I was giving up so many opportunities to meet incredible people. So I decided to run for state office because I felt like it would be the best way to force myself to like kind of break out of my shell. And I think that's exactly what it did. And I guess like the biggest lesson that I learned from it is that regardless of the results of this election, for those of you that eventually do decide to run, I know everyone wants to win, and honestly, all of the candidates like put in so much effort into their personal campaigns. But no matter what happens, like no matter what the results of the election are, every single one of you that runs is going to grow so much and be able to appreciate DECA so much more. It really is an experience that forces you to really like grow as an individual in campaigning. I'm sure some of you guys have experience running for office before, but this is like something that I think is really unique because it's not just campaigning at your school. It's not just campaigning within your chapter. It's campaigning within your region. It's campaigning within your state. And I definitely think that just that experience alone is enough to justify running for state office. And then finally, as for how state office has changed me, that's kind of the biggest way that state office has changed me. I definitely feel like I've become a lot better at making new friends, speaking to strangers, presenting to adults, legislators, judges. All of those things have kind of like helped me grow as a leader, which sounds really like puffy, but in all honesty, it's true. I feel like I'm a lot more confident as an individual, and I've developed a lot better leadership skills because of my experience. So next we're gonna go on to Cindy.
All right, cool. So I'm the vice president of Silicon Valley. My responsibilities include keeping in touch and updating all Silicon Valley DECA presidents, doing chapter visits, and just helping out the president and our team. And I'm actually hosting the entire SVCDC and planning that. So it's definitely quite a bit of work. The reason why I ran for state office was I believe that people join DECA because of the opportunities, but they stay because of the experience. I'm very grateful to have so many people nurture me and take care of me. A lot of the chapters from Silicon Valley, like not even from Gun, who have been looking after me and inspiring me. And so I just felt like I really needed to give back, and that was kind of my sole purpose. I wanted the platform to be able to tell my story and also make other members feel and have the same experience as I did. So that's why I ran. How the experience has changed me. I definitely went into state office with like a very clear plan of what I was going to do. If you didn't know, I was on the district action team for Silicon Valley, and that was kind of like we were in charge of our district, and I got to do pretty much all I had planned. State office, definitely be ambitious, but be realistic as well. And I also learned to have an open mind. Like I never thought I'd be involved in politics or anything like that, but we've been like advocating to the Capitol and things like that. So just like having an open mind and being able to adapt to change has been really rewarding from the state team. Yeah, so now we're gonna have Chris from NorCal.
Hi guys. So I'm the Vice President of Northern California. My name is Christopher Monagura, and I'm from Castro Valley, as David said. So for my role, it's a lot like what Cindy does in Silicon Valley, but for the NorCal region, chapter visits, communicating with the chapter presidents and trying to keep in touch. But I think another big key thing is the NorCal District Action Team that was implemented this year. And going on for next year, anyone who is running for NorCal, the Vice President of NorCal will also be in charge of NorCal DAT. And in doing so, that takes a lot of responsibility and effective communication. And so, like, basically when setting up what you're trying to do for the upcoming year, you'll be directing how you want that to work, how you want, what you're setting your goals as, and what you're really trying to aim to do. So like what we did this year is we really wanted to emphasize judge recruitment as well as chapter visits. So that's something that we did, trying to reach out to the smaller chapters, because that's something that I wanted to bring to the table. And for anyone who is running for NorCal, Vice President of NorCal next year, like you guys will be able to coordinate with Mr. Wu, who is the NorCal DAT advisor, to find what you guys want as your goals for the upcoming year as well. And so along with that, there's also a lot of planning that goes along with NorCal LDC as well as NorCal CDC, just planning the talent shows, little details, speeches. You guys will be all in charge of that. And so for the reason why I ran, unlike the other state officers, like I actually ran as a first year. And so I kind of have a different story and a different reason for running than a lot of them. Like for them, they had a lot of, they had the experience of DECA behind them to really ensure that they knew that that was what they're doing. They wanted to give back. But for me, I think it was a lot more about like when I was a sophomore going into my junior year, I had like an options of what I actually wanted to do and what I wanted to do with the rest of my high school experience. And for me, I'd known what DECA was for a long time because my sister was in it, and she told me so much about how it inspired her and how it helped her so much. And I knew that was what I wanted to do. But at the same time, I was like really scared of what if I can't do it? What if I can't do it? But I think that the reason why I ran is because I really wanted to challenge myself. Like this was a risk that I wasn't sure if I could run or if I could ever win. But in doing so, just the entire process of learning and building, like to me, that helped me find lots of opportunities, lots of leadership opportunities, learning about myself, learning about my own capabilities. And that's the reason why I ran, to really just find and discover more about myself. And in saying so, like the reason, like, how state office changed me in general is definitely helping me find my leadership style. Like when I was a sophomore and I was in my leadership class, I had like meetings with the ASB before, and they would always tell me like, oh, you have you don't often speak much. And I always wondered why. But now after state office, like I've learned that I have a nurture voice, which doesn't often speak as much, And just like finding these little details about myself, learning how everything comes into play to become a better version of myself in general, I think is how state office has really changed me. and it's also made me really intentional about the way I live and about my conversations with everyone. And up next is Dragon.
Hi there, guys. So, like Chris and Cindy, I'm also a district VP, and my responsibilities really include, networking and connecting with the presidents of my district, and especially growing Southern California as a whole, because Southern California is one of the smaller districts in our state. And one of the other responsibilities that, link up is really visiting and engaging with the chapters in my districts, helping to maintain the image of California DECA via social media, in person, and at conferences, as well as interacting with other associations, coordinating the districts and state conferences, and just being proactive in making DECA known. And as for the reason I ran, I mostly ran because of, one, the amazing opportunities that DECA could provide. I knew that, as a state officer, I would be able to network and connect with so many different people and personalities from, all over the world to gain leadership skills and experience, and also have fun at the same time. And it also allowed me to give back to the organization that has given me so much over the years, and work to improve the presence of my district and support, all of the members here in SoCal, which are basically mostly new chapters and members. And what this has really, the entire experience has really has changed me, is that it's allowed me to gain, leadership and professional skills. It's allowed me to connect with people, to learn how to better see myself, and to work to support the members within my district and see the amazing world that exists around me. And I think we have, is it Jasmine or Ashton next?
I can go next. So hi everyone, my name is Ashton Lamb. I'm your Vice President of Public Relations. So what this position really entails is the branding of California DECA as an organization. So what I do in my position is that I plan social media posts, which is different from communications, who creates the content. I usually plan like the post for the week, and then Jasmine's the one that executes them. In addition, I also organize and compile the monthly press kits, which are like updates for the whole California DECA world to see what our chapters have been doing. I also coordinate the online blog, which are articles from the state staff or the state officers on updates on what the team has been doing, or just tips for any events or competition for the upcoming year. I also maintain correspondence with DECA Direct. Jasmine and I both served as social media correspondents for the Emerging Leaders Summit. And also, I've worked with Janelle Scudder, who's the communications manager, to have some of our articles featured on DECA Direct. I also work with, this was a smaller project, but I worked with DAT to draft templates for judge recruitment. That's like a smaller task. And generally, PR and communications, we work with the general officer projects, which include like the program of leadership, chapter visits, and advocacy. And so, as for why I ran, for my entire high school career, from freshman to junior years, my DECA experience really has been the experience of a lifetime. Similar to David, both of our high schools have been really competition-oriented. So for most of my time in DECA, I've only been involved with competition. But I knew that there was something more to DECA than competition. And so I wanted to give back and get more involved in DECA so that I could have the platform to give members the same opportunities that I did in my chapter. So junior year, I wanted to give back, and I decided to run for state office. And through state office, I've been able to meet so many new people. I've had opportunities to travel around the world. And I think most importantly, I found my own voice. As an introvert, it's been hard to feel comfortable speaking in your own voice. And through speaking in front of crowds and legislators and members, through state office, I've been able to develop my own voice.
All right, so I'm Jasmine, and I'm serving as the Vice President of Communications for this year. And so in terms of the responsibilities of VP of Comms, I handle a lot of graphic media stuff for California DECA. So Asher and I, we collaborate on handling CA DECA social media. And so I do a lot of graphic design of flyers. And then I also take lots of photos at our various events and get those posted up on our Facebook albums. And then one of my favorite things to do is creating videos. So any of the videos that you see us posting, whether it be like ICDC promos or the advocacy promo video, I've filmed and edited those. And so I'd say if you're planning on applying for this position, because it is appointed, really like look into the various skills that are necessary to do this job, like graphic design, video editing, photography are all really great skills to be equipped with, so that you can handle this position and its responsibilities really well. And then in addition to that, I, along with the rest of the state team, handle general state officer responsibilities. And I think my personal favorites are doing chapter visits, because that's the whole point of being a state officer, getting to connect with members across the entire state and within chapters themselves. So my reasons for running, I guess first and foremost, it's just because I love California DECA, and I think everyone in this call can say the same, where this organization has changed our lives. And with that, it inspires us to want to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. And that's what state officership is. And beyond that, I always wanted to understand and learn more about how this organization works. Because I think I entered as a freshman, and I remember going to the first state conference back in 2016. And I was like, who are these gods on stage? But over time and meeting more people through DECA, I realized these are students just like myself, but they ran for state office and they got their positions because they want to do more and connect with more members and be able to provide their insight, their knowledge, and their experiences, and channel that towards helping develop and empower new leaders to be the face of California DECA in years to come. So in the end, I ran because I wanted to create more opportunities and experiences for others. It's more of a servant leadership mindset, I'd say, going into state office. And then how it's changed me, I think California DECA does an incredible job in training at state officers, where we got a lot of very insightful leadership training, and it's made me much more self-aware and more understanding of how the ways that I work and interact with others, how it all connects. We got to learn a lot about our team members and about ourselves through various introspective exercises and whatnot. And so that's made us more effective as leaders in general, because we're much more understanding and aware of how the things that we do, the things that we say, translate into what we can actually achieve. And then beyond that, we also have a much deeper understanding of the organization itself, and we kind of get to be in the room where it happens, and we see the behind the scenes. We see what goes on behind all the magic of DECA. And I think that's just given me a greater appreciation for the organization itself. So it's a really incredible learning and growth experience.
Cool. All right. So that's kind of the technicalities of our responsibilities and our positions on the state officer team. And just a quick note, I know we talked about in our position, what our specific responsibilities are, but as a whole, there's a lot of overlap in responsibilities. So it's not if there's something that needs to be done in SoCal, only Dragon will work on it. Obviously the entire team works together to complete whatever tasks that we have, and we all work together in brainstorming the plan that we have for the year. And that's kind of the technical side, but state office is also a really, really, really fun experience. Oh, here we go. So we're each going to also go down the line and share our favorite memory from being in state office. And as you can tell by our smiles, which are not faked, being on a team that you get to know so well is really a fun experience. And to be 100% honest, at first I was really nervous because aside from Ashton, who I knew in middle school, I didn't know any of the people on the team. And of course there's always the initial awkward part where you're just starting to get to know the people, but eventually through all of the experiences that you go through, you become really, really, really good friends with all of them. Personally, my favorite memory would probably have to be from ICDC. At ICDC, we got to hand out awards at the final award session, and just the entire team, we were all working together, handing out awards, and every single person that came over was so excited because they just got called to go up on stage at ICDC. So every single person, like you hand them their like top 10 medal and they're like going crazy and like some of them are like crying, they're like cheering. And it was so great like being able to see all of these competitors like so excited and so passionate about DECA. And that really was probably my favorite experience. Cindy?
Sorry. My favorite memory, let's see. I have so many. I just really love being around the team. Like if you can't tell from our social media, we're together like all the time and it's super fun. I feel like the most memorable though was when Dragon flew up to San Francisco to hang out with us. I had to take Caltrain alone, which is terrifying. But then we got to hang out and we went to the MoMA and just like created a bunch of like inside jokes and new memories. And yeah, it's been really fun. But like aside from hanging out with the state team, I really enjoy meeting everyone in DECA. Like when we go to conferences and stuff like that, meeting your members. Oh, it's always so fun. Yeah, so too many favorite memories.
You good, Dragon?
Sorry about that. I was muted. I would say my favorite time would also be during ICDC because during the awards ceremony, I got the chance to stand at the bottom of the stage and like cue everyone on, and I was just like cheering everyone up and like high-fiving everyone, going like all the competitors are going on stage for the final awards, and I was just like so energizing and fun. I actually lost my voice and I got really, really sick after that because I high-fived way too many people. Actually, not a good idea, but it was still pretty fun. And yeah, it was definitely a really fun experience. Though the second best after that would actually be the box fort we built during ICDC. So it's not just work, but there's a lot of fun to it too.
We did build a box for it. Yeah, I forgot about that.
It was so beautiful. Okay, so for me, my favorite memory would have to be the May meeting when we went to advocate about CTE in Sacramento. And I think that for me, that was like one of my favorite memories because the meeting that we had beforehand, it was just like, that was like an introduction. The one we had beforehand, we were just getting to know each other. We were just like trying to learn more about our leadership styles, the type of people that we were. But then by the May meeting, I feel like that's when we kind of started to really understand each other a little bit more. We started like creating a lot of inside jokes that still continue on like to today. And there's like some really funny moments that you just end up making in the beginning that continue to last. And for me, like that was a reason why it was so fun, just really working and just getting to know and learn more about these people. But also like during that time, we also got to work on our program of leadership a lot more and just try to like figure out all the details about how we wanted to go about the year. And for me, like that felt really reassuring because we had a plan for the rest of the year, and it wasn't just like we were just going to be like random figureheads. Like you're actually doing stuff and you're actually trying to plan stuff. And to me, that was really exciting.
So one of my favorite moments was the first night of the May retreat when we went to a Thai restaurant. And I think that was like the moment where I realized that this is a team of friends, not just a team of like people who are elected to represent the state. We are actually like friends. After that week of ICDC, we hadn't seen each other for a long time. And at the May meeting, we just picked up right where we left off. We were making jokes everywhere at that Thai restaurant. And in every conference since then, we've always eaten at a Thai restaurant on the first night. So I don't know if that's like, if that's intentional, but that's something that we've always done. Something in addition to the dinner at the Thai restaurant that I also find really interesting is that after state conference, I believe it was like 2 days after, it was Jasmine's birthday. And then I remember David created a whole group chat. We wanted to celebrate, make her birthday special. So we made the horrendous drive down 680 to her house, and we presented like a handwritten poster to Jasmine. And I think that it's really cute that we always make a big deal out of each other's birthdays because we all treat each other as friends and family, not just like coworkers.
The birthday one hits me because for my birthday, the rest of the team photoshopped my face onto each dragon from Dragon Tales.
Yeah, I think we've had a lot of amazing experiences as a team. I think like I remember being like not a state officer previous years in DECA and like hearing about the state teams and like hearing about how it's like difficult to work with people that you didn't know previously. But this has been an incredible experience and like I've learned so much about myself through like my team. Yeah. So fun memory aside from all the ones that were mentioned. I think like state officership has just been getting like more fun, more exciting, especially as like conference and competition season runs around. Because like over the summer, like it seems like state officers are the main ones who are like still doing a lot of DECA stuff. But then now like everyone's getting into DECA, everyone's having chapter meetings, everyone's prepping for conferences. So it's a really exciting time of year. And this was it like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? We went to Carlmont DECA in Belmont. And we got to like visit them and meet with their chapter officer team. And they're kind of like a new officer team. So we were able to provide insight and really like talk about what is California DECA, what is it like to be an officer team, what are the responsibilities. And like that may seem like it's just like another responsibility of ours to just go visit and visit chapters. But I think that's like the best part because really the whole point of our positions is to provide our insight and our knowledge and getting to like work with such a like passionate team of people that like they themselves haven't even experienced DECA conferences, many of them, and yet they're still super excited to be officers and to lead their chapter. And just seeing that and also being there with my team to provide like our experiences, our knowledge, our advice, like it was a really, really enjoyable experience. And I think we're just going to have more of those in the next few months as district CDCs come up. So it's a very exciting thing to be able to just like visit another chapter and hang out with and talk with and meet other officers or other DECA members. It always keeps you inspired.
Awesome. There it is. So here are just a few pictures. Bottom right is when we went to the escape room when Dragon flew on up. We did not escape. Tragic, really. Bottom left is at the Northern California Leadership Development Conference. And this was just a group picture that we took with the DAT. Top left is those people in the red are the association officers from Nevada. They're awesome. And we kind of hung out with them for that trip. And then the other two in the middle, one of them is from WRLC, which we just got back from. It was in Phoenix, Arizona. And then the one on the top is also from ELS when we went to Washington, D.C. And it's like really crazy to think about that potentially a few of you guys in this call right now will end up being on the same team and end up becoming lifetime friends. Like it's a really weird thought to think about, but you know, always keep that in mind because it really is a life-changing experience and you really get to know these people on your team so well. And now we're going to get more into the technicalities of running for state office. So Dragon, do you mind if I share my screen really quick so I could go through the deadlines?
Yep, gotcha. There you go.
So, let's see. So all of you guys should have seen this, right? You guys should all be familiar with the state officer candidate guide. It's a really, really long guide, but in reality, it's not too bad because you're only running for one position, and like as long as you only look at the stuff for your position, there's not actually too much. But just to quickly run through the requirements, first and foremost, you must meet the CTE requirement. Obviously, as a DECA member, you already meet it, but make sure that you have this because you don't want to prepare all of your campaign materials and then realize that you're ineligible. So make sure to check that you're eligible first. And then additionally, these are kind of optional, but the intent to run form is helpful for kind of like letting us get a sense of how many people are running for state office so we can plan out how much time to allot during the opening session, how many booths to set up and stuff like that. And then the candidate notification form, this is where you kind of officially say that you're running for state office and that you've talked to your advisor about it you've talked to the school about it, and you kind of have reviewed all of the requirements for state office. So let's see. Let's go down to the timeline. So that's really quick. So there's two kind of separate timelines. One is for people that are running at the district CDCs, and one is for the people running at the state conference. So the people running at the district CDCs are NorCal, SoCal, and Silicon Valley vice presidents. And then at states, it's the state president, and then vice president of communications and vice president of public relations. So starting off with the district vice presidents, you guys are going to be campaigning at your district CDC, and your first deadline is like right now, November 24th. All of your forms must be submitted. They're all on the California DECA website, with signatures. And then additionally, your commercial video, I think it's 30 seconds or 1 minute. Do you guys remember Dragon?
30 seconds.
30 seconds, yeah. So your 30-second candidate video, this is basically just going to be uploaded on the conference website so people can get a really quick sense of who you are. And then also your knowledge examination must be taken by December 1st. So this is something that you have to coordinate with your advisor. If you haven't done so yet, there's still time to do it, but make sure to study for it because it is not something that you can just take on your first try and get 90. Like there's a study guide on the California DECA website, but there's a lot of information that you have to know just like about DECA on the whole. And you can take it as many times as you want, so don't worry about that part, but you do have to set it up with your chapter advisor.
But keep in mind that if you don't pass one time, there's like a 3-day time period where you have to wait till you can take it again. So
Not anymore. So you can immediately retake it after. Yeah, we just changed that last week.
Just kidding. You can take it as many times as you want.
Have fun.
So you can like arrange a time with your advisor after school and take it like 20 times if that's how long it takes. But and then after all of those things are done, then we have the kind of official candidate meeting on December 13th. And then you have your conferences where you have your speech during the opening session, your campaign booth during Saturday. The interview is also Saturday, and then the election session is Saturday evening, and the results are announced on Sunday. Cool. And then also, really quickly, we're gonna have each of the district VPs give some, I guess, like general advice about running for state office, in terms of preparing campaign materials, preparing for your speech, stuff like that. So we can start off with Cindy.
Okay, cool. For Silicon Valley, let's see. For commercial video, that's not as popular as in Silicon Valley. So I would say invest your time in your speech, in your poster. That's really important. Just a general tip, I guess, like a lot of people like building those like 2-story poster board things. I feel like that's like, it's not that necessary. At the end of the day, it's really about your speech and your passion. One thing that I just wanted to say was that passion isn't something you can fake. Like people see it, whether you're there for the position or if you really do love DECA. And something to keep in mind is that like when your names go out for candidates, like does your name ring a bell? Do people remember how you made them feel? I think that's really important. Whether you win or not, remember your love and your passion for the organization. That's really important. Once again, speech is super important. I think that's what set me and my partner apart. Memorize your speech. A good leader needs to be able to speak without looking at his or her phone the whole time. Just in general, like prepare a lot for your speech and your poster board, and also look at the candidate guide. Like, the candidate guide is so important. It has all the details you need to know. Yeah, I guess that's just my general tips. Be passionate, show your love, and really get to connect with people at the conference, because no matter if you win or not, the connection is really important.
Chris?
Okay, so for me, for NorCal, Vice President of NorCal, I think some tips are, or some things that work for me, I'll say, are that to really have your speech known. Like, you really want to make sure that you know your speech really well, because you don't want to be stuttering, and you want to make sure that you're within the time limit. Because it looks really bad if all of a sudden you're cut off in the middle of your speech because it looks like you didn't really practice as much. So make sure you keep it under time limit. Another thing I think about the speech is I'd say something is good is to have a theme going on with your speech, because you can say like a lot of generic stuff like about how DECA has changed you, about your plans for DECA. But I think that's something that really makes it stick, is if you have some kind of mental image that people can use to associate you with. Like for me, I used the redwood trees last year for my campaign, and I put that a lot into my speech. And I remember when I was actually campaigning the next day at the booth, this woman came up to me and she was like, "That was one of the most eloquent speeches I've ever heard. Like, thank you." I was like, "Oh, thanks." Before I awkwardly gave her a handshake, that was really bad. But yeah, so like have something that they can mentally associate you with. And another thing I think that's important is have a campaign team. Like, it's, of course, you want to be doing it. You want to be making your plans and your ideas on your own. Like, you want to be coming up with those ideas yourself. But have people behind you who are there supporting you and helping you out, especially at the campaign booth time. Like for me, when I was campaigning, I had at least like 4 of my chapter members there with me all the time, and they were helping me like pass out my merchandise every now and then. And by doing that, that would help like them direct the people they were giving the merchandise to me, so that I could tell them more about my campaign. And in that way, like that helped me a lot because it helped get my name out there. And yeah, just like find things to really just associate your name with something else, like Cindy said. Dragon?
I would also agree with Chris and Cindy. Those are great points. And what I would say is make sure that you're organized, that you've got everything on time, make sure that your booths and everything is fine. But I wouldn't really say rely so much on, your booth and your campaign speech, but more so focusing on connecting with people, making people, just being a person there and actually being engaged with someone, and connecting and talking to all the different people that's going to be around during the conferences, and making them feel like you actually care about them rather than you're trying to get their vote. So campaigning isn't just about giving out your flyer or just giving out a speech. It's more about talking to people, and that's something that while campaign time technically ends at like 12 o'clock, you can still keep realistically campaigning by talking to people, networking, making them know what your interests are and that you're working to help them.
Yeah, those are all really, really great points, and we'll have more time if you guys have like questions or want any advice during the next candidate meeting or the next briefing, December 13th. And then next, I'm going to be going over the deadlines for people running at the state conference. For people running at the state conference, you guys have a lot of time. So just keep that in mind. Your first deadline is just completing the knowledge examination by December 1st. And then also at the district CDCs, you guys will be having a board screening interview. So what this is, it's a really, really quick interview. I think mine was like 10 to 15 minutes or something. And it's with the California DECA staff, and they kind of just ask you about why you're running. It's just a screen for to make sure that anyone who is running knows what they're getting into, understands the responsibilities, and is passionate about running, and they're taking it seriously.
Just a note on the interviews. I think you have to schedule these interviews, so you don't assume that you'll get these interviews automatically. Make sure to schedule them so that you can actually have them.
Also be on time, because I think We had a group interview in SoCal, and that ran, I think, 45 minutes late because we were waiting for someone.
Yeah, that is not a good impression to make. And then your first big deadline is the advisor nomination, candidate application, and commercial videos. These are all due February 1st, around the month before the state conference. These are the same forms as the ones that the district VPs submit, but we just have a different deadline for it. And then our online briefing video, or our online briefing video meeting, wow, I cannot pronounce that, is February 14th. So that's like a long ways away, but just make sure to have that date in mind. And then for people running for appointed positions, make sure to complete your portfolio by the first day of the conference. You'll be turning it in. And then at the state conference, we'll have the speech, the booth, the interview, election session, and then new officer orientation. So we're also going to give some tips on these positions. For me, at least, running for state president, I think I definitely agree with all the things that Dragon, Chris, and Cindy said. So much of it is about connecting with the voting delegates. Like during your campaign booth or during that campaigning section, it is so important that you like force yourself to go out of your shell and talk to people, because like, at least personally, I'm not an extremely extroverted person where like if I see someone walking around, I'll automatically say hi and introduce myself. But like I forced myself to be as to talk to as many people as possible, because you only have, I don't know, like 4 to 5 hours during that campaign time, and that is like the biggest impression that you will make for each of those voting delegates, because those voting delegates aren't hearing your speech, they're not watching your video, they're not looking at your looking at your campaign materials. The biggest thing for them is the one-on-one experience with you and their impression of you while you're talking to them about your plans for office and stuff like that. And then also Ashton and Jasmine are going to talk about the appointed positions. These are really different because they're not elected, even though you still have a booth, but a lot of it is more focused on the portfolio and the interview.
So for my position, which is an appointed position, the bulk of the selection process is from the interview. And so that is the interview with the state staff, which can consist of like the state coach or the executive director and other staff members and board members. So when I found out last year that like the interview was only 5 minutes long, I kind of panicked because I wasn't sure that 5 minutes was really enough to show like them who I was. So I really encourage you to not let them only have 5 minutes to get to know you. Pour your heart and your soul into your portfolio, because I spent a lot of time creating my portfolio to reflect who I was, and hopefully they read it. And also I brought in supplementary materials such as like guides and packets that I used in my interview that they kept afterward. So just putting your name out there to let them know more of who you are outside of the 5-minute window. Also, even though this is an appointed position, don't leave your candidate booth unattended, because they can still be in the campaign room and observing all the candidates. So whatever you can do to let them like get a glimpse of who you are, do it. In addition, I think for appointed positions in general, getting your name out there and letting yourself be known, such as the press kit, if you are constantly involved and you're sending articles in, they probably will recognize it. So just showing your involvement, not only at the conference, but also outside of it too, can help.
So going into elections and definitely like running for an appointed position, you're trying to appeal to a different audience. I think 2 really important things to keep in mind are, 1, like your campaign honestly isn't just like 2 days long or 3 days long, however long the conference is. Your campaign is everything that you've done in DECA up to this point, everything that you've contributed to the organization, to your chapter, in your previous years of DECA. And so it's like it's not like any of us can change who we are within that 3-day span and really expect to be the right person for the position. Like we become the candidate we are through our years in DECA. And so there's definitely time before the conferences come, and this is just kind of general advice to anyone, but it's like, make sure that your campaign is consistent with who you actually are and what you've done in DECA up to this point. Because it will show through in the end. And then also, I think for appointed positions especially, like I remember last year, there were so many people running for VP of Comms and VP of PR. And so the key thing to think about is like, how do I differentiate myself from these candidates? Because the board that's screening us, it's like, how will they really see the difference from one candidate to another? Because in the end, I think every candidate is fully capable of handling responsibilities like writing articles, writing press kits, creating videos, graphic design. Like everyone has those skills. So what differentiates you from everyone else? And so that's what I tried to address in both my portfolio and in my interview itself. Because yes, it is a 5-minute interview, which is kind of daunting, I'd say. But I felt like the questions are what you'd expect to be asked, if that makes sense. Like being a state officer, it's not just about being able to like check the boxes and do a task that we're assigned. It's really like, who are you as a leader, and what do you have to contribute to this organization that's valuable? So focus on that, aside from showing that you're competent and able to perform like the general responsibilities or the specific responsibilities of your job. Also focus on who are you as a leader, and what are the philosophies that you live your life by. Because California DECA, like I think that they're not just looking for people who can do work. They're looking for people who can lead and represent the organization effectively. And so that's something to keep in mind.
Awesome. So I know we went over a lot of information during this informational session. That was a horrible joke, but we're going to open it up for questions during the last part of this. Feel free to ask any questions that you have right now. Get an immediate answer. If you do come up with any other questions in the future, feel free to ask any of us. And then make sure to look at all of the resources on the California DECA website under the candidate section. There's a lot of forms and a lot of information on like that might answer your question before you ask. So does anyone have any questions right now?
Yeah, I had a question. So I had a question about page 35 on the candidate guide packet, which is labeled State Officer Travel Authorization. So it asks you to fill out the form based on the event or meeting description being that it's for all state officer responsibilities. So is that planned for how you're going to get to events about, do we fill that out in terms of just very generally, like we'll be driving to like local events and be like flying to farther ones, or how are we supposed to go about filling that out?
What I would put on there is say that it will vary by meeting, because what will happen is that you'll actually submit a separate form for each event. And so that sheet is intended for kind of as a blanket assurance that you understand that there will be travel involved. But yeah, it'll vary by event. Good question.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. I also had a question. Hi, I'm Emily, and I was wondering for the commercial video for district VPs, it says in the guidelines that you can have other people helping you, but you can't have other people speaking in it. That you should be the only one speaking in it. So am I allowed to include pictures of other people then?
It says in there that you can have supporting graphics or images. So yes, you can add in some images with that.
All right, thank you.
Hello. Hi, my name is Pranav, and I'm from Limerick, and I had a question about campaigning. So I was just wondering what we would put inside the portfolio.
Okay, so the portfolio for, are you for elected positions?
Yeah, no, not for elected, for appointed, for like VP of
appointed.
Communications.
Sorry, so for like, I know for some people who ran for comms and PR, they put like their resume and also samples of projects and like pictures they've designed. It's just like a lot more about you and what you have done to kind of prove that you're capable of doing what's ahead in your position.
And also a follow-up question from that. So when you're giving a speech for appointed position, right? Who would you be giving those speeches to?
You don't
give a speech for
There's no speech.
Oh, all right. I thought I saw a speech. I'm sorry about that.
no
No
worries.
worries.
I had a question about the expenditure report. So we have to turn it in online this Friday. So that can just be a rough estimate, and then the final form we turn in during the interview, right?
Yeah, that's exactly correct.
Even for the district positions?
Yeah. So
Okay.
for all positions, for campaigning, there's like a budget limit just to make sure that like someone's not spending like $1,000 to campaign, just to make sure that it's fair for everyone. And then also there's nothing for like if you're getting, for example, say like a family friend donates you a like iPad that is worth $400, like you can't write that in as free because it should be at like fair market value. So also another example is like yeah, so like if I have a family member that works at Apple and they give me a Mac to raffle off, I can't say that that Mac is free. Like it has to be included as a cost in your campaign budget.
Okay.
So all of those details are also in the candidate guide, but just keep that in mind.
And another thing is to always keep your receipts, because I remember last year, like I almost forgot to turn in my receipts, and that could have been bad. So make sure you have all of those, like even if you buy it online or something like that, just to make sure to send it in to administration.
Wait, so from following up from that, even if you have something that you want to use, you still have to include that as one of your fees?
Mm-hmm. Like even if it's a poster board, like you'd still have to list the market value of what the poster board is.
Yeah, but there's like, it's not super unreasonable. Like if you're using your laptop to like display something, you don't have to include the price of your laptop. It's like for raffle items is kind of the biggest thing. So you can't be raffling off something that you own. It has to be included in the budget price.
I
So I had a question. Okay, you can go first.
Okay, thanks. I had a question about uploading your forms to the actual application. So it asks you to upload it as a single file. So do you want us to include all the pages of that file to it, or just the ones that needed to be signed? So
In
there's
my-
some pages, sorry.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah, there's some pages that just give information and don't actually have any signatures involved. So do you guys want us to upload all those included, or just the one with signature?
In my experience, when I tried to upload like the whole packet, it was too big to be submitted. So I only submitted the ones where you needed like signatures. So if it fits, you can include it. But mine, I only left in the pages that you needed signatures, and it worked.
Okay, thank you.
And I had a question regarding the appointed position. So I was wondering if, like, just to clarify that the booths at the campaign do not factor at all into your score, but just to like kind of offers a way to show.
So for appointed positions, technically, like to be selected, 30% is based off your portfolio, 70% is based off of the evaluation after your interview. But keep in mind, like state officership, you should be connected with the members, and it's not just about appealing to the adults that are putting you in the position. It's also about making sure that you're connected with just general California DECA members. So I'd say even though it doesn't technically count, like make sure that you put time into that booth and have people there to talk about you and your campaign.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Cool. So, man, I always love that awkward silence. More questions. But that's going to conclude our information session then. Thank you guys all so much for attending. And if, like, seriously, we're here to answer all of your questions. If you have, like, we went through this before. We were all stressed out about campaigning, and we all had so many questions about, like, what the heck do I do? Like, trust me, we understand campaigning and like running for office. And we really commend you guys for taking the chance and running for state office. So any questions at all, like make sure to ask us about it. We're always free to talk about it. Cool.
Before we leave, sorry, could we get a picture of everyone here for our social media?
Yeah.
Who wants to take the picture?
Are you diamonds?
I can do the screenshot. Give me 1 second.
Got it? Thanks, Dragon.
Let's see.
Oh,
wait.
so
Tell me when you
cool.
guys are ready. Or
Oh shoot, never mind.
hey, Steven, you want to connect the diamond with me?
What?
Wait, Steven, you're on mine.
Oh, well, Steven's still left on mine, so.
It's working on mine.
What is going on?
Okay, I got this. Okay, we're done.
Yeah, okay, thanks.